Hey everyone, hello and welcome, Tony Bing here. For this series of test centre videos, I figured it was about time I got round to having a look at Jean Grey. Now, I've left it so long for two reasons. One, she essentially has two sets of skills to cover because of her Phoenix form, and also the second one being that I'm not massively knowledgeable on her, and I know she's got a very kind of dedicated fan base, so I don't want to to mess up at all with this one. But so if you bear with me as we go through this video, if there's anything I do miss, please let me know in the comments. But the first section we'll look at is just the kind of mental version of the Telekinesis tree. Now, even with my limited knowledge of Jean, I can see that there are quite a few new skills in this particular tree, so I'll go through all the tooltips, but the skills I believe to be new or revamped, I've got them on my hotbar and we'll show them off as well so you can see the visuals. So first up we have Skip and Stone, which is a basic range attack, restores spirit and also hits multiple enemies. Now I'm almost 100% certain this is a new skill here, so I'll show this off. There we go there. Nice enough. And next up we have Telekinetic Charge, which is a dash. She's just got the standard dash as other ones do. It's cooldown of 4 seconds and max charges of 3 seconds. Following on from that we have Telekinetic Throw, which is just a range spender attack there. And next up we have Psychokinetic Implosion, and with this enemies are pulled towards the centre of the effect. Following on from that we have a new skill, Side Shield. This provides slow and also provides unbreakable to yourself and your allies, and it's got a channel time there that appears to be affected by power duration, so we'll show you that. There we go, it's a pretty nice animation on that. We'll hold it down the full amount. There we go there. And next up we have Psychic Maelstrom. So with this you project psionic energy to excite the molecules in a targeted area, dealing damage to all enemies within, and this is doing dot damage and it's a 2-second stun, and you can actually have 2 of these active at a time. This is a new skill, it looks great. There we go there. Looks absolutely fantastic. Now following on from that we have Psychokinetic Barrier. So this is the same as live, it's just a kind of ranged area skill and it's doing weaken. I think the name of the skill has been changed however. Now next up we have Telekinetic Slam. So with this, telekinetically lift entire groups of enemies to slam them into the ground. And that I believe again is the same as live. I'm not too sure about the damage bonus based on your intelligence, I think that may be new. And then we have the signature Crushing Telekinesis. I think possibly with this the animation has been changed. I can remember all the rocks going up, but coming down as well I'm not too sure, so we'll show that off. There we go. I can't remember all those additional rocks at the end, they're coming down. So what we'll do now is we'll look at the telepathy tree, the mental version. Once we've done that we'll run through telekinesis and telepathy trees with the Phoenix Force, and then once we've done that we'll run through the talents and traits. This will be quite a long video. So next up anyway, telepathy. So what I can see from this tree having a look at it is I believe there's one new skill. So first off though, we'll look at Psychic Lethargy, and that's a mental damage dot, down slow, as well as vulnerability. And following on from that we have Telepathic Drain, which is a ranged kind of dot channeled attack, and the damage is based off your attack speed there, and it also slows the enemy. Next up we have Neural Network. This is a mental damage dot, and the effect transfers up to 3 enemies when the target is defeated. That particular part there, I'm not quite sure if that's new or not. Let me know in the comments anyway if any of you guys do know. And next up, Psychic Hammer, which is your ranged mental damage attack, and this passes through enemies with projectile on it. We then have Expel Phoenix Force. So passive effect, gain a Phoenix Force meter, we can see that there. And with this, Phoenix Force is generated when you deal damage. Active effect requires and spends maximum Phoenix Force, and you're doing mental damage there. And then we have what I believe is a new skill, so slot it to the bar. It's Telepathic Illusion, and it summons an illusionary gene there, so we'll do that. There we go. Simple enough. That would be taunting and distracting the enemies. And the final skill in this tree is Neural Panic, so with this you confuse your enemies. So what we'll do now is we'll bounce back to the Telekinesis tree and we'll look at the Phoenix Force versions of these skills. So what we'll do now is we'll look at Telekinesis with the Phoenix form. Now I'll quickly hover over the tooltips and give the name of the skills that haven't changed at all here, because we have essentially covered them when we looked at the mental side of things. So you firstly have your dash, which is Phoenix Charge. You then have Telekinetic Throw, which is your main range spender. You then have Psychokinetic Implosion, that's pulling enemies towards you. You then have Pyrokinetic Barrier, that's a weaken. Telekinetic Slam, this is now doing damage bonus based on energy rather than intelligence. And then the signature, Crushing Telekinesis. So let's look at the actual new skills here and how they've been modified. First up you have Flaming Debris, we'll show that animation off. There we go there, you can see the 3 different rocks fire out as they go further away. And then next up we have Size Shield. This looks great, this version of it. This is the same, it's applying Unbreakable and slow again. There we go, that visual looks absolutely great. We then have Flaming Maelstrom, so we'll show that off as well. It's energy damage dot and slow. There we go, that's looking very nice. And actually, that's that tree done now, nice and easy. So now let's look at the Telepathy tree from the Phoenix form perspective once more. Now with the Phoenix form version of the Telepathy tree, the skills are largely the same, and it's more the utility and mechanics that they offer that are slightly changed. So we have Mind Crush, that now does a stun. All these skills will now of course do energy rather than mental damage. That goes without saying, although I said it anyway. And next up we have Phoenix Drain, and this now regenerates health. Whopping them out there, 1460. And then you have Neural Network. This changes in that it actually triggers an explosion when the target is defeated, so that could be nice looking. And then we have Psychic Hammer, only real change there is a damage type. We have Dark Phoenix, so with this the buff is damage 15%, spirit cost reduction 100, and healing from all sources up by 15% there. And then we have Telepathic Illusion. I'll show that, it does the same thing but the visual's changed. There we go, nice kind of fiery visual there. And then finally Neural Panic there. Don't believe that's changed, let me quickly click off the talent. Ah yeah, in fact it's changed from Confuse to Terrify. We can see that there. Great, so let's now look at the talents and traits. So first up we'll look at the offensive trait, and that's Telekinesis. With this you gain critical hit damage 25%. The archetype is Templar, that will give you a damage bonus to durability and intelligence attributes. For the defensive trait we have Phoenix Reborn. You can see enemies on the minimap, you have health regen, that's tripled when you fall below 35% of your max health. The archetype is Tough, giving you a defense and deflect multiplier. For the traits, we start off with Unleash the Phoenix, and this allows you to enter the Phoenix form that we were previewing just earlier on. Next up we have Omega Telepath, so with this, when you activate Expel Phoenix Force, enter into Psionic Avatar form, gaining additional damage and increasing your dodge chance. You also have a 5% deflect chance, health regen and mental power damage. Now this next tooltip, as I'm not a person that spent a massive amount in Gene, really doesn't mean a lot to me, and I find it a bit confusing, so I'll just quickly list it off. It's Expel Phoenix Force gains the following effects: damage 20%, duration 1 minute. Enter Phoenix form lasting until your next Dark Phoenix ends. Dark Phoenix gains the following effects: health regen 2%, buff duration 1 minute, removes Phoenix form at the end of its duration, returning you to your normal state. So no idea what that means, but I'm sure the Gene players, that'll make a lot more sense to them. Now, next up we have Psionic Barrier. So Psychokinetic Explosion, or Implosion even, gains the following effects: damage 200%, cooldown 8 seconds, and it also applies a damage absorption effect from Psychokinetic Barrier. Next up we have Friends of the First Class. This applies strengthen to allies while you're in combat, and Telepathic Illusion actually changes to appear as one of the members of the X-Men. So let's show that off. You'll get a damage dot as well there. Let's actually activate it first, that would help. I have no idea who that is we've called in there. Oh, in fact it was Wolverine, wasn't it? I think, crouching down. Let's call in one more. Yeah, I think that's Wolverine, or it's Beast. It's hard to tell. Let's try it one more time actually. I had the Angel a moment ago and it looked great. There we go, Bobby, Imagine this time. So you can see the damage dot as well there. So next up in this line we have Telepathic Dominance. So Psychic Lethargy gains the following effects: damage 25%, slow effectiveness goes up by 30%, and Mind Crush gains damage and a cooldown. For the third line we have Heart of the Team. So Phoenix Force generation rate goes up by 25%. Expel Phoenix Force applies rapid healing to all allies. So that's health regen, and it's a 3-second duration. We then have Cycle of the Phoenix. So Phoenix Force decays while out of combat, while Phoenix Force is full, damage 10%, Spirit Cost reduction 25%, and base health 50%. And finally, Font of Power. Dark Phoenix duration 100%, Expel Phoenix Force Spirit 50 Spirit generation even. I'm really getting lost with these tooltips because I've spent so little time on Gene. As I say, hopefully it makes a lot more sense to you guys than it does to me. Now, next up for line 4 we have Telekinetic Potency. So Telekinetic Throw throws multiple projectiles in a line, dealing damage to anything in their path. Telekinetic Throw gains 50% damage and a 6-second cooldown there. So we'll actually show that off. There we go, we've now got the free ones, quite similar to what happens on Ultron when he has one bit of rubble and changes it into free. There we go, one more time for you. And next up in this line we have Phoenix Ascending. So Psychic Hammer, Telepathic Drain, and Telekinetic Throw gain the following effects: Spirit Cost completely removed, Spirit restored 5, and Phoenix Force generated. And then finally in this tree we have Size Shield. Transforms into Tactical Destruction. That skill is called Environmental Hazard. So Tactical Destruction telekinetically levitates in and hurls an abandoned vehicle at enemies. So let's activate that. There we go. And we'll let it go off one more time. Gives me a second to rest my voice as well. It's going a bit now. And there we go. So onto the fifth and final talent line we have Psychic Epidemic. So with this, neural network damage goes up by 50%. Neural network gains the following effects. So in normal form, affect up to one additional nearby enemy when the power is activated. When in Phoenix form, affect chains on all enemies hit by the mortal burst. And then next up we have Controlled Engagement. So Psychokinetic Barrier gains the following effects: critical hit chance 100%, cooldown comes down by 5 seconds, and it generates 10 Phoenix Force. And then finally we have Vertigo. So when you use Telekinetic Slam, the cooldown of Crushing Telekinesis is reduced by 2 seconds. Telekinetic Slam damage goes up by 50%, and Telekinetic Slam cooldown comes down by 2 seconds. So there we go there. I hope that was particularly helpful. As I say, I've not spent a lot of time on Gene, so it was just a case of really reading out the tooltips in this one rather than me giving too much kind of my thoughts or insight, because the chances are I could potentially be wrong, and I don't want to go kind of giving my advice in something that I'm not massively knowledgeable on. So regardless, I do hope this video was useful. If it was and you liked the video, please hit like, and if you're not yet subscribed, please feel free to do that, because I'm putting these videos up on a daily basis. I think we'll get through round about 40 of the heroes covered now, so we're almost there. But thanks for tuning in, and I'll see all you guys again soon.